On March 1st, the U.S. Department of State approved a possible foreign military sale of $619 million to Taiwan Island.
Here's the way I see it. The U.S. is looking at it saying, if we don't go to war with China or we don't settle this issue within the next 3 or 4 years, we lose. Because China's going to be very powerful.
So how judicious is it for the U.S. to supply weapons to Taiwan region at a time when it is also deeply entrenched in the Russia-Ukraine war? Won't it put additional strain on the U.S.?
Well, it's a sign of desperation and irrationality. The U.S. is fighting against a reality of a changing world, a modern world in which there are various poles of power in the world, and in which the newer poles of power are not interested in hierarchy, and the U.S. doesn't know how to deal with it. It's kind of like a man who falls in the water and doesn't know how to swim. He reaches and grabs in desperation in every direction he can to hold on to something because he doesn't have a plan.
So on one hand, Secretary of State Antony Blinken in February alleged that Beijing was possibly considering providing lethal support to Russia. And on the other hand, just weeks after that, Washington itself announced the new arms sale for Taiwan, which posed a severe threat to peace across the Taiwan Strait. China's Foreign Ministry of National Defense remarked on March 3rd. What do you make of this contradiction of Antony Blinken?
The U.S. is pushing a hierarchical world order where the rights are the rights that any given nation has are based on where they sit in this hierarchy. It's nothing more than international feudalism, where the U.S. says we are the class of nobility, and the European vassals of theirs, they're the commoners, and everyone else is peasants. The noble class enjoys the prerogative to do whatever they want, and the peasants can't. The problem is the other people around the world do not want to accept that hierarchy. So this is a battle.
Senior U.S. officer, Air Mobility Command Chief General Mike Minahan recently created a stir by predicting a China-U.S. war in 2025. How credible is such a prediction?
I think it can be avoided. Here's the way I see it. The U.S. is looking at it saying, if we don't go to war with China or we don't settle this issue within the next 3 or 4 years, we lose. Because China's going to be very powerful. If we don't fight China by a given time period, we're not going to be able to beat them. I suspect China's smart enough to say, well, I think we'll just wait till about 5 years after that time period, then we'll revisit this issue again. And if time is my most dynamic weapon and most effective weapon, that's the weapon I'm going to use.
The U.S. government has taken a series of steps to limit China's access to key semiconductor technologies and supply chains, while at the same time enhancing its collaboration with Taiwan-based TSMC, one of the world's biggest chip makers. How do you look at the U.S. strategy of pitting Taiwanese enterprises to contain China?
What they're doing is, it's short-term gain. Okay, you're going to put China behind the 8 ball a little bit in the short term, maybe for a few years. In the short run, yes, it's going to be a little bit of a problem for China in catching up with their technology on chips. But in the long run, 10 years from now, they'll look back and they'll thank the United States for putting them in a position to become the world's foremost chip maker.